Alright, part 3. I've changed the configuration a little bit. I'm using all 4 Thors. Each of them have their filter frequency modded by one of these LFOs. And I've got the grid going to this pulverizer at the top's filter frequency. Got another KRON here that is modding the pans. I'll turn it off. I'll put the spread down. So now they're all centered. Actually, do this. So this is just real basic. Basic LFOs. Sideways. So I solo the first one. So what I'm going to do is turn it down and spread them. This is just connected to the pan positions. Change this to random. I have the fading, S curve fading. This is take 2 of this video, and I forgot what I set up here. I guess that's it. All right. So, what did I miss? So, in terms of latency, your best bet when you're using gates, if you're going to generate something on board to trigger something else, you can do it with 0 latency if you have the right order setting, which is right here, and you wire it up correctly. So right now it will do gates and quants, then mods and LFOs and the grid. So I could use the quants as mods and etc. That's not important right now. So the quants, say the quants trigger the gates, or the gates trigger the quants. Either one of those is going to try to happen with 0 latency. It'll reorganize which happens first. So if I have like this, the first gate triggering the first quant, and this triggers the second gate, which triggers the second quant, etc., it should do all of that with 0 latency. So anyway, use that rather than back panel direct gate inputs like this. So that actually does wire up the second quant to trigger this, as you can see right here. But I can also do it by wiring, let's wire up the second gate to the second quant. And now it's the same. Same as doing that. But it's instant. Alright. And these gates have triggers, so you can test them or record that or whatever. And this is this first source, second source. Otherwise it's in columns here. Oh, okay. What else? The reset will reset everything. It's kind of like a gate, but for everything that has a phase. So that's a good thing to put at the very beginning of a song or at the beginning of a loop or something if you're using free frequencies and you want to line them up on every song playthrough. Or you can just use gates. Some of my patches, in order to simplify this, I set up a matrix and it plugs into this right here via that. Get in right there, so that's going in there. And then what I have is I do that. When the song starts, it'll trigger, lining it up. Anytime the song stops and starts again, it'll trigger and line everything up. So that's kind of a crude way to do it, but that works. Let's put this back, 2 notes. Either one of these basically works, by the way, for this purpose. No real gate inputs there. Alright. Let's see. Intro and help sections. So the help sections are in green and they're on the front panel, and one right here on the back. That one's a long one. Some of them are short, some of them are long. Like the curve section right here has its own help section. The LFOs also contains a curve section at the very bottom. You have to scroll down. But basically those describe every single property on here in about a sentence or so. And these on the back give more general overviews and tips. Plus, there's a few more details over here on the note quantizing section. So I'm not going to cover that in this video too much, but basically you can use the waveforms, I have it set up right here, as pattern sequences, and you can also use them as note quantizing. The note quantizing would be happening right here. There's some other options too. So I choose like weighted notes, and I choose a waveform, and it would treat that waveform as a scale. So right now it's treating waveform 1 as a pattern. But I don't really have anything to... Maybe that'll work. There, you can hear it. So it's a crude pattern sequencer. But it comes in handy. Another way to use the waveforms. So let me undo those changes. We don't need that. Oh, basic graphics controls. You can turn them all off, which comes in handy. If you max out your CPU and you've got like 20 of these things in a song and a whole bunch of instruments and whatnot, it helps to turn that off. You can also turn the frames per second down. It's probably already too high. 40 is officially what it's capable of, but it looks fine at like 20 or something. That's half the draw. Half the draw is there. This scope here, let me show you on this one. This right here also has an FPS, so I can turn that all the way down. This is a fraction, so this is 1/10 of what this is set to. So you can see it probably show up in the video. It looks kind of jagged, but that's a good way to cut down on some CPU cycles with the graphics. But just in general, you can just turn that off if you want. Overall, on and off. This run, indie is not important right now, but basically the run when it's on, which is the default, runs when the song is stopped. So if I turn that off, you can see it stops, and when I start playing again, it'll start. So that can turn this device into something similar to the redrum matrix, sort of. Like it's a way to get around some of the limitations of like wanting to have LFOs running when the song is stopped versus needing to have gates stop, etc. Oh, and another important thing, if you use LFOs as gates, so you can have basically 6 gates here, then like you can just pick a square wave easily, whatever. If you click this one right here, and the grid has one also, then when the song has stopped, the output back here goes to 0, so that when you hit stop, all the gates turn off, even if the LFOs are still on. Okay. Right here you can change the delay function, CV delay function. I'm not going to talk about all these different options. You should see the manual, and it helps to have it set up for me to show you. I use these gate type options right here a lot. These are for random waveforms with gate types. So you can like return to 0 or return to a different value. You can change the speed, etc. I use that in one of the maybe chaotic FM, I think. Oh, mod version. So this right here, if I ever add, I do plan on doing this, but if I add more options to various menus that can be modded, which is practically every menu on here, then I'll add a new menu option right here that basically sets the modding number to that new number, and old patches will still have this version selected, and they won't be affected. So it's a backwards compatible feature. So basically, you don't have to worry about it. Let's see. I'm scanning, thinking about what I could talk about. Scope has a uni toggle here, so if this was uni. Oh, and a speed. Whatever chord I was doing, I liked. I can't get it. Alright. So, that is the KRON. I think I'm going to stop this series of videos and make another quick overview introduction. But I can't think of anything else to talk about. Nope, still can't think of anything to talk about. All right, so coming within a week, the KRON CV Toolbox.